Natick, Sarasota, Bradenton, Venice, Palmetto, St. Pete, and the rest of the world on WTMY.com, hanging out. Very special day of the show. In between Half Shell Oyster House and the Forum Hair Salon. And lucky enough to be joined for the second time by Mr. Charlie Manuel today. How are you doing, Charlie?
I'm doing great, man. Having a good time.
Having a good time down here, over there, hanging out with some of your old friends.
Yeah, with some of my old buddies, man. I played ball. We got some big war stories. We can't talk about all of them.
So you're over there signing autographs, taking pictures. A lot of people coming by today.
Yeah.
How about the turnout?
Turnout's good. Turnout's very good. People are friendly today. They're, I'm sure we've raised some money, and that was the whole purpose of it. And we're doing pretty good.
All right, Charlie. Let me ask you a tough question. All right, this is a question I've been wanting to ask. I'm going to take you back to that. What was it? It must have been November at that point. End of October in 2008.
Right.
They make your guys go out play the field against these Rays in the rain, and they tie the game up. Then it's a sprint. You guys have 9 outs. They have 6. Coming back behind the 7. Jeff Jenkins hit the double off that right center field wall to start that.
Right.
How many times between the end of that game and the start of the bottom of the 7th did you change your mind about who was taking that at bat? I'm curious.
I actually, when I looked at the pitcher, and when I wanted to talk to Jeff, I knew the guy threw hard. Actually, he liked to throw high fastballs, and I kept telling Jeff, if I hit you, I want you to make sure he brings the ball down to you because he's going to throw you some fastballs. Jenkins is a dead low ball hitter. And I figured, by Jenkins leading the inning off, I figured that he'd be trying to keep the ball down. What happened? He came at Jenkins, and Jenkins hit the ball off the wall.
And then got him over.
Managing.
And Pedro Feliz got him home. Excellent managing by you, Charlie.
Yeah.
And then I also remember Pat Burrow in his last at bat with Philly hits one almost out. Down there, left center hit that. But I just know I had some friends I was talking to back home, and just the people in Philadelphia, how the fans are, but there are people that really want to thank you and the team in general for bringing the only championship to Philadelphia in 27 years. I mean, I was born in 84.
Right.
And the Sixers won in 83. So if you get to the math, I thought I was the jinx, but 08 was such a great year. And I wanted to ask you that because it was such a great move putting Jenkins up there and getting that run. And then that year, Madsen and Lidge was as lights out as it ever was.
Exactly.
And then from there, I remember I turned on Harry Callis on the radio and listened to the final out. It was great. But tell me about that year.
Yeah. Okay. You know what? The biggest thing about that year, when you win a World Series as a manager, that's the first one I ever won, and that's the first one in a long time since Dallas Green was a manager. I think in
1980.
And
yes.
You know what I remember most about it? We won 2 rounds in the playoffs, and and how you get up and at the end and you kind of celebrate things like that. But when we won the World Series, if you go back and look, I stayed down in the dugout and I watched the fans and I watched my team, and most of all, I watched the fans. And then when we went on the field, it's kind of like we crossed the line and somebody finally told us that we won. I felt like we could definitely have some more playing time left, really.
Yeah.
But anyway, when I looked up in the stands, everything got real. Everything, there was no false, nothing about it. Like in the playoffs, things like that, you see things go on. That year
you had that game in L.A. where Shane hit, and then Matt Stairs, there's still a ball flying in downtown L.A. somewhere.
Exactly. But I tell you what, when we won the World Series, everything about it was real. There was no phony people. There was no phony nothing that's in at all on the field or in the stands. And then the next morning, we get up and we go to the parade, and they said we had anywhere from 2.5 to 3 million people, and it was the most people I ever seen in my life. And you look north and south, east and west, and they were as deep as far as you could look. And we rode about 2 miles and a half to the ballpark on this parade, and it was definitely without a doubt the biggest parade I ever came across. But at the same time, everything about was real, and you saw a lot of happy people.
Yes, and everybody was definitely happy when Chase took the mic.
Right.
And we were all effing champs. I loved it.
Exactly.
I loved it. It was great. Such a great team. Andrew, I know you wanted to ask a question.
Yeah, as I told you before, I'm from Cleveland, so I got to watch you as a manager for the Indians. And you're going from a fan base in Cleveland that's probably about here in the intensity level.
Right.
When you went to Philadelphia and you're up to here on the fandom intensity level, how did you adjust to that? Because that's not a walk in the park.
And another thing, Charlie, real quick before you answer, I was living there. Another thing in the media and everything.
Right.
You got the Southern draw, and you're up north. People automatically assume this guy's slow, but you can teach people how to hit. And like you said, you make the moves and you got it done. But people, love you guys now. Tell me what it was like winning that city over the way you did.
Oh, I think it's what we had to do for me to win, to get popular or be popular. I think we had to win. I said that when I got the job. I said the same thing in Cleveland. You know, like I think the Indians sometimes, when I think back, I spent 15 years with the Indians, and they were great years. I had some great times in the minor leagues. We had a great farm system. We raised a lot of players. You know, like, and I feel like at the development part of our team, I came to the big leagues, and actually all those guys that we had played for me. You know, like when I was a hitting coach for 6 years in the minor leagues, like every one of those guys played for me. And then when I got to the big leagues, of course, it was easy for me to be a coach. But at the same time, we had the same intensity that he's talking about when we went into Jacobs Field and we started winning games, and our fans were loud. I mean, and they'd come in, they support you and everything. But then, you know, like when I went to Philadelphia, and we slowly, when Tommy first came to Philadelphia, it kind of got people interested in coming there, I felt like.
And then new ballpark was built.
Exactly. And then
Jimmy in 07 says you're the team to beat. You just go out and get it done.
Yeah.
And then the rest is history.
Yeah. Then, you know, like when Jimmy said that, you know, like we had just made a big transition. We got rid of some players at the halfway point. Pat Gillick said that we wouldn't compete until 2009. And I came right after him at night after the game in a press conference, and I told him that we would compete right now, that I knew who was in our locker room. And at that time, we turned Shane Victorino and Utley and loose. And then Rollins became more fitted on our team as a leader. And we had a tremendous last 2 months and a half of the season. Just missed the playoffs. Next year, we come back and win our division. Of course, we got beaten 207 in 3 straight games. But then from our 208 and 209, you know, like we went on to the World Series. But everything about it was big, and they are loud. And you know, like in the Cleveland days, it was a lot of the fans were loud and they were very intense. But Citizens Bank still roars louder.
Yeah. And then let me ask you 2 questions. Citizens Bank does roar. I mean, and the link, the stadium for the Sixers and the Flyers, it's just like you said, when you're in a town like Cleveland or Philly, that's so starved for a winner and starved for a championship.
Exactly.
When you put that on the field, the place just loves it. Now, Papelbon, part of the team, Jonathan Papelbon coming down from Boston. What's that going to do for the back end of your bullpen?
That gives us a solid closer. That gives us a proven, solid, big-time, everyday closer. He's one of the best closers in the business, if not the best. I know Mariano Rivera, you know, like he's hard to beat, and he's been a long time, but Papelbon's younger, and Papelbon's strong, and he wants the ball every day. And on this, it's going to be real interesting because, I mean, we got probably the best closer we've had. Brad Ledge was the year you're talking about, 208. He was perfect. Brad
48.
He did everything he possibly could do that year. But Papelbon is a proven day-to-day, day-in, day-out closer.
Yeah, Brad was having some issues physically and things like that. So 8th inning. I know he's got quals, but after the year that Stutz had, and after the year Antonio Bastardo had, I mean, how are you going to manage that bullpen in the 8th? Is it going to be a matchup kind of thing through the 7th and the 8th, getting up to Papelbon, or do you have an 8th inning guy in mind?
If you noticed last year, Bastardo, he did close some games for us, and also, you know, like he threw the 8th quite a bit. Stutz can pitch in the 8th, but also we got Contreras if we get him healthy. And Qualls, you know, like Qualls did all. He's pitched in the 7th, 8th, and the 9th. He was a closer for a while. Actually, Qualls' stuff right now is big. He starts throwing 95 again with a hard sink. But our bullpen, you know, like what you're talking about, the 7th and 8th inning, that's going to work itself out because who we got. If Bastardo and Stutz just comes back and they can repeat what they did last year, they were young. That was their first year, but they still had to come back and they got to be consistent.
All right, excellent. I mean, so
but, you know, before I go, I'd like to say, you know, in Cleveland, I pull for Cleveland to win because, you know, like they deserve a championship team, and someday I would love to see a World Series between the Indians and the Phillies.
Oh, that'd be great.
That'd be a lot of fun.
That would be good
for the folks. Hey, Charlie,
Tom and I would have blasted that. We'd have a blast through
real quick before we get you out of here, Charlie. It kind of got to be people were getting really used to playing that baseball in October. In the past 2 years, disappointments late with San Francisco, and then last year St. Louis, who went on to win the World Series. I mean, and in that Game 5, Halliday and Carpenter were warriors. Either one of those teams could have won.
Yeah.
This year, what are differently to try to get this team back to that World Series, back to that point where this team knows it should be?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing about it, and people forget sometimes, baseball is a percentage game. And when you go into the playoffs and you're like your record's sitting there like 33-10 or 35-5 or 6. Last 2 years, that's kind of where we've been, and we took off. We were winning series, and then all of a sudden, we were sweeping a lot of those series. And actually, from a percentage, what happens is it catches up with you.
So more or less, you were kind of due for it.
But you can't afford to lose the series. If you do, you're out. And you're like, in the last 2 years, that's kind of what happened to us. But also, too, is when you leave the games close. When you leave the game close, sometimes the better team, the games are close, say in the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th inning, stuff like that, and a 1-run difference, if that team is not supposed to win or is not the favorite,
you let them hang around.
If they hang around and get the big hit at the right moment, make the right play at the right moment, then you go home.
And that was the thing, just real quick, and then I'm going to let you get back, Charlie. Last year with the team, he's had chances, it seemed, in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th to really tack on runs and weren't able to get it done. So being able to do that helps so much in the late innings, especially when you got the rotation like you got, and you got the team and the leaders that you have, and then you have a manager like yourself. I just want to say, as a fan myself, but as a fan of baseball, the Phillies, the Yankees, Red Sox, these organizations that just do it classy, do it the right way, and bring baseball to people like us to enjoy half the year, we can't say thank you.
Well, I appreciate that. That's good. That's what it's all about.
So, Charlie, real quick before we let you get out of here, any last words about this event today, Special Olympics, what we've done, and then I'm going to let you get out of here and say good luck, and hopefully I'll get to see you before you get back to Philly.
I'm glad my daughter has definitely asked me to come over, and I'm glad I had time to, and I like everything about it, and enjoyed myself, and hopefully we did something good for the Special Olympics, and sometime when we watch, and you might be watching TV, and somebody's out there, and somebody was got he's handicapped or he's got a problem or health and things like that, and he competes and he becomes a big winner. I've seen a lot of them.
Yeah, and it could be part of what we did here
exactly. Today. You're like, maybe we had something to do with it.
Exactly, and isn't that the thing? I mean, if you can inspire or help someone go out, because you've had greatness in your life through playing in Japan, through playing, winning the World Series. Now, to be able to go and inspire some greatness and to be able to help someone reach that level of greatness that you've been able to get to has to be so fulfilling for you.
That would be tremendous. I mean, just to know that we help someone. I think that says it all.
Well, Charlie, I'll let you know we helped a lot of people here today at Special Olympics, and you helped a lot of people get through the doldrums of the hot summer with the product you put out there on the baseball field. Thank you very much, Charlie.
Thank you, Phillies.
Thank you for making Sarasota your home for even just a little bit. We're glad to have you here. We're glad to have you again.
That's good.
All right,
I appreciate
Charlie.
it. Yeah.
Thanks a lot,
guys. Glad to meet you guys.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, Charlie, good luck.